Well, hi, my friends. This is Jay, and this is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam. Well, I guess you can see by the intro, this is not a tutorial. Well, I've been celebrating my birthday. You've been celebrating along with me, and I'm telling you, I've just been up to the moon and back. Thank you so much, and I am just meeting new people every morning. I get up, I've got some new people say, "Jay, I just found you," or a friend told me about you, and it is so exciting. And I'm telling you, you're the best. So tonight, as we wind down the month of June and my birthday celebration, because life must go on. Jay, you can't just celebrate your birthday. I thought I would come back and do the last part or finish up some of my crafting history. Now, you know that I did a little of my work history, and then I did a little of my craft history, where I shared with you that I was a toe decorative painter, a toe painter for years, and had my own shop, and I traveled and did a couple of books and just a bunch of things. And, isn't it funny? Every time we find something that we think, we're maybe, kind of halfway good at, or that we really enjoy doing, we think that's what we're going to be doing forever. Well, I thought I would be toe painting forever. I thought, oh, this is it. Well, of course, toe painting, at least in our area, kind of went out. It just kind of went downhill. People just weren't decorating their houses in country blue and ducks and chickens and all of that. So, and as that wound down and people, moved and kids went off to college and things, I had to look for something else to do. What else did I want to do? Well, by accident, I ran into a friend, and she was into, she wanted to paint tile, but she really couldn't find a place, a ceramic place or somewhere. And I told her, well, I know a good ceramic place near, in my area. And she lived about an hour's drive away, but she was willing to come down. And so we would meet up on Saturdays and go to this little ceramic place where she could, kind of learn how to work on tile. Well, eventually that didn't work, because the type of tile we were trying to do, or that she was trying to do at the time, I hadn't really got involved yet. I was just kind of like a little extra wheel. I'd just be there with her on Saturday and talk, and we'd have fun and fellowship. But she really needed to get into porcelain painting. Now, some of you may think, "Oh, Jay, is that what it is?" I had an aunt who used to sit around, her and her friends used to sit around and paint china. Is that what it is? Yes. Tile painting is more just a down-home way of saying china painting or porcelain painting, where you're painting on fine porcelain. Remember teacups and tea saucers? Well, I have some of that too. But the tile painting is more for, she wanted to get into painting for home. She wanted to paint tile backsplashes. Well, like you say, if you hang around long enough, you'll fall into it too. So before I knew it, as she was learning, and we were practicing and finding out getting the information, what kind of supplies we needed. We didn't know, there was no YouTube, or at least for us, it was no YouTube, no computers. This was just looking in magazines or going to the library, trying to look up stuff in the library. There was just nothing. And that's why she was coming. She thought maybe if we put our heads together, we might could figure something out. And I was game, and so was she. So eventually we did get in contact with different companies out of magazines. You could get magazines. We got them from the library for china painters. And in the back of the magazines, how companies would advertise their paints and all the kind of supplies to paint china. Well, we started getting ourselves, we hooked up with a few companies and found out what we needed and the kind of supplies. So to make a long story short, because it goes on and on for a good while, we did this for a good while before we really branched out. But we got everything going, and we actually started painting very simple designs, little simple things, and we started. She started getting a few commissions in the area that she lived. She lived up in the mountain, in North Georgia mountains, and so she would pick up a few commissions every once in a while where somebody wanted her to paint. We hadn't got into full murals, but just little small things, because we both did craft shows also, and I'm gonna show you a little of that. Well, in the meanwhile, she didn't live down here. She lived in North Georgia in the mountains, so she could only come here every so often. But I started liking it, so I really started looking around and found an old friend of mine who actually did china or porcelain painting. She had gotten into it, and when I ran into her, we started talking. I still had my shop. I said, well, would you come over and just show me? Or can I come over to your house, because I knew where she lived and everything. We've been friends for years. And so that's how it started. I would go by her house. In fact, I had started to work. My shop was closed for its toe painting, so I had to pick up some extra work in the office. That's when I went to the doctor's office. But I would leave there on Fridays and go by her house, and she'd sit and she'd share what little bit she knew, here and there and here and there. And as it grew, we both started trying to figure out ways to get little jobs doing, some backsplashes. She had a kiln. I didn't have one. So I had to depend on her to fire. And it's a kiln, not a kiln. There's no M, it's a kiln. And as we continued to grow, I eventually had to get a kiln of my own, because she just couldn't do her firing and my firing too. So all of that to be said is, eventually I wound up working so hard and getting different jobs and all of that, and start really producing murals, which is where we were trying to go instead of the little individual tiles, but murals. I was able to land a small place at Home Depot and at two local Home Depots and one Lowe's. So I was able to land like an independent contractor. So they let me set up a few little things in the store, in two stores, and then Lowe's let me set up some things in one of their stores up in the rich area. So this is the first, so I'm trying to get to it. So what I'm trying to do is take you a step by step. Now look, this is going to be a nice long video, because I'm trying to document my life. So if you get tired, just go to bed. I'll just keep going, and you can look at the rest of it tomorrow. But I decided, okay, I'm going to paint these murals. And so my husband actually made some display counters. We put them in the Home Depot stores. We put them in the Lowe's. And then I would just, they would send the person to me. I had a contact number and information, even had myself printed a little flyer, little cards. And so Home Depot would sell the tile, of course. And then they didn't get into any of my part of the business. I was just like an independent contractor. So the person would contact me and say, oh, I saw your stuff at Home Depot, that you do hand-painted backsplashes, and, what kind of prices and all of that, and do you have a studio or a place I can come? Well, of course I did, and they could come on the weekends and look through some of the murals I had already started, painting and developing. And like I said, we didn't have cameras, we didn't have the YouTube. All we had was just these pictures, people. So let me just kind of get started, because, like I said, this is going to be fun. I hope you find this interesting. I thought I was going to do this the rest of my life. I'll get to the end of that. I'll tell you what happened at the end as we get near the end. I thought I was going to do this the rest of my life. That's how much I loved it. All right, so let me just kind of get you started here. As you see, one of the first pictures I have, now I'll pull in when I need to. Some of the first pictures that I have, this is showing some of my display at a Home Depot. And like I said, my husband built some racks, and they let us bring our own little displays in. And I had murals on it, and it was really nice. Here's another one. I'm going to take this one off. Let me see. Can I? Okay. You know, Jay don't know how to scan. So this, you remember when I did the homemade scanning? This is going to work just fine. As you can see, I just had all types of really pretty tile work. And yes, this is all hand painted. In fact, I'm going to bring some of them close if I need to so that you can see them. So fruit was really big because during this time, the market was good, but well, let me get through this part, and then I'll come back and tell you what happened. But anyway, that's some. Now let me just show you some individuals, just so that you can get. I'm just going to put them up here. So when I first started, of course, when she and I was working, we started as making like little trivets and things to do in craft shows. We both did craft shows. Well, this was a good while before I started at the doctor's office, so I need to back up a little bit. So we were still doing craft shows. We would do a craft, well, she would do some in her area, North Georgia, and I'd do mine here. And they were mainly trivets. Can you see that? This is like the one that I did for, you remember Margaret Orlando when I did the party for her, and I gave her a peach trivet. I'll bring it close. I gave her a set of my peach trivets. That's because I had a whole bunch of them, people. For a craft show, I had to do, a whole lot. So this is just some of what I do in my craft shows. They were really pretty too. Here's some here. I'm going to just kind of move it around. These are pretty little trivets I had little sands in them. Let me bring them a little closer so that you can kind of see. They were like little potpourri, little things that I made in pots. Now here's some. Oh, here's some right here that's Christmas. You can't go to a craft show without Christmas. Right? Right. I think I need to bring this over. There we go. So you had to have Christmas. There's a snowman. Oh, I just love making these. I could just sit and paint and paint and paint. I didn't care how much work it took. Okay, now here's some more. Let me just put up a few more. Just to show you just the trivets. There's Santa Claus and there's candy canes. You gotta have Santa Claus and candy canes. Now, I know, like I said, these are photographs, people. But I have too many pictures to sit and scan. And then scan, you had to do like 15 different steps just for every picture. I thought, you know what, I can just walk you through this and talk you through it. Here is a cute little bear. I'm going to bring this one really close. Here is one bear with a star. Is he cute? Says Noel. Then here is a Santa bear holding a birdhouse. And I'm sure there's some kind of Christmas message on it. But they're so old I can't make out some of the things now. So now let me show you what it looked like when I was actually at a show. How it was set up. Now here is, now you see how this is like a table, and you can see trivets and see how they're stacked on top of each other. I'm going to bring this real close so you can see the amount or the volume of work. Can you see those trivets underneath the ones that are sitting on top? Okay, there's some on top that are sitting on top, and all those underneath it are the same picture. Can you see that? So there's a whole bunch of candy canes. There's a whole bunch of Christmas trees, whole bunch of Santa Clauses. Can you see? So I would have done, I can't remember how many tiles come in a box. These are 6x6 tiles. So maybe 20, I can't remember now. But I would take a whole box and do one. You know, I might do that many candy canes because I knew it would be a popular item that would sell at the show. And it's not anything you can go home and run home and do, because they had to be painted and fired. And it took a whole day and a night just to fire. And even with a large kiln that I had, it just takes time. And then it has to cool so many hours, or otherwise the tiles could crack. So now there is, look at that table. You can see all of these tiles lined up, and you can see some of the murals in the background. I always got a large booth, and I always had electricity in my booth. Always, always, always. I always tried to go for something where there was a wall, and I also always wanted electricity. So because I always carried lamps in my booth when I was doing craft shows. Oh, they were set up like real rooms. Sometimes I had pretty drapes and curtains and things. And then, let's see if I've got any more from what. Okay, now this was actually, here's some pictures. This was actually in my shop. Now these may not be so easy to see. So I'm just going to bring them close. This is a picture from my actual little shop where they were on display, you know, during the Christmas holidays or in between shows. Then I'd just take them to the shop and set it up to the next show instead of bringing them home. I didn't need to bring them home, okay, because they need to be able to, I need to be able to get them to the next show. All right, now here's one where this is inside of my shop. This is one of the rooms. The front room is really pretty. It was just like a little house. I had another home. I had another house. That's exactly what it was. I had real old furniture. A lot of it was thrift store finds. That table and chairs was something my mother-in-law let me use. It was a real antique table with really pretty little antique chairs. I had pretty little draperies, fabric that I got, and then I bought the sheer curtains. I would buy that, you know, at some of the thrift stores or something. But it was really pretty. All right, so now that's an idea. Let me just put something up here because I don't want to leave it blank as I get ready to move things around. Now, so we did, you know, she went ahead with her plans way up where she lived, and we'd only talk on the phone every once in a while. But then, like I said, mine took off, and I really started pulling in where I got into murals. These were just show things when I would do the tile. I didn't try to sell a lot of murals at the show. I took some, but the tile was enough to get people so that I can advertise my shop and advertise, you know, people could order murals or have custom hand-painted murals. Now let me actually get into some of the murals so that you can see exactly, Jay, well, what is a mural? How does that work? All right, let me change pictures and I'll be right back. All right, so now let's talk about some of the murals. Murals, so that we could price them as a mural, could be like 4 tiles with the painting on 4 tiles where the whole picture comes together, is painted. I painted the whole picture with all the tiles together so that, you know, even after you put the grout in, after you put the tile up and put the grout in, you should still have a pretty much of a whole picture. Does that make sense? Instead of individual trivets like I just shared with you. All right, so this would be a beautiful 4-piece mural. And most of the tiles that I did mural, well, I did them on the small tiles, but most murals most people wanted them on 6x6 tiles. So that's a pretty good size. So at least 12 or so inches tall, and of course 12 across. And we charge by the tile, anywhere from $25 to $35 for each tile. We could charge, and that's a whole lot cheaper than the people who did actual porcelain there's as anything in life, you have people who actually do the more of a porcelain type painting. And you can look them up on YouTube. Now I'm sure you could probably find it on YouTube. But back then, like I said, we didn't have YouTube. We all we had was pictures out of magazines. And so we try to find anything we could to see how other tile painters or designers would do. Now, the person would simply, now this is all hand painted. I actually hand painted all of this. Everything I show you, I hand painted. It's not a, where they kind of, that little film, I can't, like decoupage or something like that. Now some people were into that. We had, I knew a girl that she did real well. She just did the little, like decoupage like thing, and she put it on tile and then put a coat on it. And, she did really well. She sold that, and, but mine is actually hand painted with China paints. That's the difference. Not ceramic paints. Doesn't work. It's China paint. What we would do is we take the China paints. China paints have lead in them. That's the bonding agent to get the paint to adhere to the glaze in the tile. When you want to fire, these had to be fired. You take and paint your picture. You'd use some graphite and transfer a nice little picture onto the tile. Then I'd sit and paint everything on the tile. I used to paint it from the back to the front. In other words, everything in the back, leaves or something in the background, and then I'd paint coming forward. In fact, I'd do that basket first, then the leaves, then the fruit, and then the fruit on front. I'd always be coming forward. So there's a glaze on the tile, and the kiln, you use the kiln to heat up the tiles after you've painted them. And I did not have electronic kiln. I had a kiln where you set the temperature with it's a little thing called a cone. And I won't get into all of that unless somebody says, "Oh, Jay, I'd like to hear more about it later." But anyway, I fire it with cones, and you get them from your from the suppliers, and but anyway. Once you reach a certain temperature, every cone had a temperature, and once you learn the paints, and I had to teach all this myself, people. I had to learn all of this. But I was determined because I just thought it was the prettiest thing I had ever seen when I first saw it somewhere. I don't know where, so I can't remember now, in books, but I saw it somewhere too. And so once you find the right temperature for whatever you're firing, then the glaze will open up a little bit. It will soften. Now, it's hot. When you look in there, you look like you're looking at Hades. That's what it looks like. Through the little porthole, there's a little hole in the kiln, and you look through it to see if the cone, it has a little dropping mechanism. Anyway, I won't get into that. So, but once the glaze open up, it takes something to get it to adhere or go into the glaze, and that's where actual lead, they say it's not enough, not to make you sick, but I don't know. But you do have to you have to have a kiln in a place that there's a window. You need a big fan to draft it out. Otherwise, you will smell the chemical. You will smell the lead. And it could possibly make you sick, I guess, I assume. That's what it is. But you need to be able to draft it out. So I had, I had a place to draft it out, and had a big fan in the window to pull it out. So, but once the lead will help the paint go in, once the glaze is softened, then the paint will go in because of the lead factor. And then the lead is drafted off. It burns off. Then it reaches a certain temperature, and the little cone mechanism, it drops. You'll hear this little click. Click is the most wonderful sound. Click. I can hear it from any part of my house. My kiln. It's done. Okay, so that means, all right, then the kiln starts to cool. Well, it takes a whole day for it to cool. I'd always fire at night because, then that way it could cool overnight, and I definitely wouldn't be in there bothering it. You do not want to bother, you do not want to touch it, you cannot open it, you cannot peep, you cannot move it, or you could graze or crack your tile. It is an extreme temperature, and it takes a full day to cool down. So if I fired starting at 11 o'clock at night, and it took an hour and so, hour and a half for it to drop, for it to open up and accept the paint, and then the little mechanism would drop, then it starts to cool down. Well, it would have to be till 11 o'clock the next day at night, or 12 o'clock the next day, 12 o'clock at night. If I put it on at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, then I'd go a whole day before I could touch, and the kiln would still be warm to the touch, but you could put your finger in the little hole and you could feel, and then, like I say, then you prop the top up very little, like you'd prop the top up just so the heat starts to escape. Not open it, you'd prop it. There's a little brick you'd stick in there, and it's about maybe 6 inches. Okay, that had to go for a few hours. Then you'd prop it a little more. and eventually, by that afternoon or the next day or so, by the afternoon, maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock, I could open the kiln. It was cooled down enough that it was not going to crack my tile or craze, what they call craze, where you get the little cracking all in it. And so you could open it up. You didn't want to do that and crack any part of the mural. You'd have to redo that part or redo the whole mural. And I did have to redo some murals once I really started producing them. There were some I had to redo. But this is a 4-piece mural. And then, of course, then that would simply lead to murals like this. This is a full backsplash mural that you would find in a kitchen above your, well, you've seen in my kitchen. I have a mural. How many of you have seen that? I put that in the little pictures too. But I could not use those 6x6 tiles. I had to use the small tiles. I didn't have a large enough space. But people that had the bigger houses and the prettier kitchens, they wanted this big mural. This is one of my best-selling murals. I painted this mural I don't know how many times. Over and over, people would see this mural, and they want this basket of fruit. And there's some ladybugs, and there's a butterfly. Let's see if I can bring it just a little closer. I don't know. I'm not good at. I'll kind of start at the top and work down. But there's some butterflies, and then there, you probably can't see the little ladybugs. But there's ladybugs down at the bottom. I probably need to leave it alone and just leave it here. Can you see that? And as you can see, that's like a, what's that, 12-piece set there. And each one of those, depending on how much work I had to do, I could set my price anywhere from $25 to $30, $35 per tile, because it's painted as a whole picture. It is not a decal. That's what I want to say. It's not one of those decals where you wet and lay it on and then you fire it, or use one of those hot guns to adhere it. No, it's all hand. Every leaf, every fruit, everything is hand painted. So now I can go, now that I told you a little of the process, now let's just go ahead. Now I can just go through pictures. I'm just going to start going through some pictures so that you can see. This is my best seller, and I'll show you how some people ordered this with scripture on it. I always had people that want, well, can you put a scripture? They'd find a pretty scripture, something that meant something special to their home or their family or their lives, as for me and my house, or seed time and harvest, or plant water, just all kind of scriptures I would add to the bottom if they wanted it. And a lot of people did. All right, so now I'm going to start going through just murals. Okay, now here's one with the, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." Oh, I can't tell you how many people would order this mural. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Isn't that pretty? Look at that basket. Every one of every piece of that tile. From the border, can you see the borders up in the corners, the leaves? And then there was a border at the bottom. Let's see, can I go over here? Oh, Jay, you're not doing too good. Maybe I better sit it back down. I don't want to give you vertigo. Okay, but you can see, not just the murals. I had, things to decorate the edges. I had leaves. Then I even, like she even wanted me to put the scripture, Psalms 34:8. Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good. Oh my gosh, I sewed this mural a lot. Okay, now I'm just going through some now. You got the gist of it. I want you to just see pictures of it, of different murals. And you say, well, Jay, well, who drew the stuff? I did. Back in the day when I started doing this was the late 90s. The reason I know about what time when I was doing all this, because it was right before we had 9/11. This was in the late 90s. Okay, I had started to kind of work at the doctor's office, but it was only part-time. When I started there, I only worked a few days, a couple of days a week or something, in just a few hours. I was just filing. I was just, filing charts and things. So it wasn't like a big job. It was just a little money to help me, and then I tried to work on this. People at that time, wallpaper was still people just loved wallpaper. People would bring me a piece of wallpaper. They would just bring me some of their little wallpaper board or a piece of the wallpaper that was on the wall that they had left over, and then I could pull out the colors. And then, of course, I had, outlines of fruit. I had every time I'd, make a drawing of a piece of fruit, well, I'd save it, because I could use it again, and all I had to do was just place it here and there. See, an apple here. Okay, that apple is probably the same apple I use in all of them. See, it's just apple. I put the apple there. I'd have it on a little piece of tracing paper, and so I would just put it together, whatever they wanted. They'd tell me. They said, oh, now I want something like this, Jay, and I want something like that. Oh, Jay, I want something with can you put something in like a little market basket? Now, here's one like in a little basket you'd find at a fruit stand. Oh, I want something like that. Can you? All right, now there's that same probably apple. There's that same pear. You see, I'd have, and then I'd just kind of move it around, and then I could, leaves I could do. I drew freehand leaves. I just, wherever I thought a leaf needed to be to cover up something or to just fill out the basket, I just hand drew leaves with a graphite pencil. We used tracing paper and graphite to transfer. I'd put my design together on, and if I have some close, I'll get it. But anyway, I'd draw it out on a piece of tracing paper. I bought tracing paper by the roll, so it was real wide. And then I had gray or black graphite paper. And then I would transfer all the lines, the main lines, outline of the pattern onto the tile as one unit, not piece by piece. It had to be together so everything fit. You understand? All right. And then I'd go back and start marking what I wanted where. Say this apple wasn't even on there. Then I decided, what, right here, I'd get that little apple that I had on a piece of paper, and I'd lay it there and transfer it. Okay, how about over here? Maybe I need some kind of flower over there. See, I just add to it, but I had the basic picture from her wallpaper. And they would always bring me wallpaper or something like that, something that I could look at. And then kind of draw from. So for instance, here's a piece right here where somebody there's the wallpaper right here, down here in the corner. I hope this picture is coming. Can you see the wallpaper? Now, there's some fruit there, and if I could transfer any of that fruit, like she wanted some grapes, you may not can see, I don't know if I can bring that, I'm going to just leave it, stop moving it. But there's some grapes right here in the wallpaper. And so I just kind of looked at that and, kind of figured out how I can put the grapes in there in between. And sometimes I only put 1 or 2 grapes back in to fill an area. There's some strawberries. She had strawberries there. So then I thought, oh, strawberries over here. All right, there's some plums. So whatever was in the wallpaper, then I tried to isolate and then add it to a basket, because most people wanted things in a basket. But now, not all people, but this one, she wanted in a basket. So now there's, as I start to paint, you can see it's not finished. So now let me show you what it looks like. It's not a good one picture, but here it is after I finish painting that mural from the wallpaper. Now I am going to bring this one close so that you can see the colors. Let me hold it like this so that you can see the colors of the mural. Can you see that? There's a pear. And then some people want it. Well, can you put a butterfly? Can you do the people would just, and you might think, Jay, that would drive me up the wall. Well, you know, when something is, when the grace is on you, or when something has been made known to you and you feel it and you're in the zone, it didn't bother me at that time. Okay, like for instance, here's one. Now I didn't mean to get into the vegetables yet. Wait, I'll come back. I was trying to do all the fruit first. Okay, so now here's one. The lady, she wanted a swag of fruit. That's what she came in. She said, well, can I just get a swag of fruit? She said, I just want a swag to put over my sink or stove or something. And I want it to be like on a branch. I said, well, okay. Well, you see, I already have fruit already drawn off on paper on little pieces. All I had to do was take the pieces and put them together. So I said, okay. I don't think she brought wallpaper in there. She just told me she wanted fruit, and she told me what kind of fruit, or either I showed her a piece of wallpaper. I had a lot of wallpaper books. I had gone and I would get all the old, as wallpaper stores were throwing out books because they would have to change the books every so often. I would get the old books. I would ask them if I could have them. Most of them just gave them to me. You know, I don't know if I ever bought any or not. Most of them they said, yeah, they're already in the dumpster or something. You're welcome to go dumpster diving. Yes, Jay went dumpster diving for wallpaper books. I mean, I had a lot of wallpaper books. And then that way I could say, well, do you want some pears? What kind of fruit do you want? She said, well, apples and pears and plums. And then I want a branch, you know, with leaves and things. And I said, okay. So then I'd kind of sketch something real for myself just to remember. Then I went to work to actually make a design. Okay. Then I would show them the design. They would have to come in and okay the design and give me, I'd write up my little order, and then they would commission me to paint it. And I'd tell them whatever the price was. Say if this one wasn't, but since it's not a full big mural and didn't have a lot in the corners, it probably was only $25 for each square, each tile. So see, it's a couple $100 plus tax to do, and it didn't take me that long. Not like something like this. That's a big mural. You've got decorative edging. You've got all this fruit. You've got lettering. This one was an expensive mural. I mean, really expensive. Okay, does that make sense? And then then another lady came in. I was surprised. She wanted something with a swag, and I thought, what's up with the swags? And here it is later on in her kitchen, after it was put up in her kitchen, but she wanted, yellow was her prominent color. Yellow apples with red something, I don't know what that is, red, I guess it's apples too, or red, I don't know what it is, I can't look. And some pears and leaves, can you see that? Okay, she wanted a swag too. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. So I want to show it to you. Oh, here it is up close. All right, here's one closer. Yeah, oh, they were like berries and plums, like red plums. There's the same mural before I delivered it. This is in her house. Most people would send me or bring me back pictures. Like I said, I didn't have no YouTube and phones to send pictures. We had to take pictures. So that's how the mural looked. Once she commissioned me and I had her to sign off on the design and all of that, then when she came to the shop to pick it up, this is what she'd come to pick up. And just to make sure and to always cover myself, I always had them to take a picture with the mural. This is just a picture of the mural. But when she picked it up, she would sign off on, where you know, how much I charged and all that, and that the mirror was, she looked at it, it wasn't broke, there was nothing wrong with the mirror. Then I'd take a picture. I said, well, now you have to take a picture with the mirror. That's the only way I would release it, because people would do, you don't know what people would do. So that way, when she got the mirror and went home, and if she broke it, I have the pictures to say, no, when you pick the mirror up, here's you, and here's a picture of you and the mirror. You see, now if you want me to help you, to redo it, then I have to just recharge her. Does that make sense? And now here is, as you see, me working on the mirror. I worked, like I said, I work in sections. Maybe do all of the yellow gold fruit, and then work to the green leaves, and then to the red, something like that. Does that make sense? Then one day I had a person to come in and ask for fruit I didn't know about. I think they were from the Caribbean or somewhere. And they asked me if I would do breadfruit. They wanted to do some fruit from their native, wherever they were from. And I didn't know what breadfruit was. I heard of it, but I didn't really know what it was to paint it, what it looked like. And so I asked them, could they bring me some pictures of breadfruit? What did it look like? And they brought me in pictures and maybe something out of a magazine or something. I don't know. I can't remember. But they brought me in pictures, and then I drew up a design and then had them come back to look at it, make any changes, or give me some ideas. Well, can you put like she wanted a dishcloth. She wanted the breadfruit, and then she wanted a little dishcloth right here. Now, you might not be able to see it that close in the picture, but there's like a little dishcloth, and then there's some breadfruit here. There's a basket. There's some flowers, whatever the flowers from their country, wherever it was. She brought me that. There's some cut fruit right there. Pomegranate, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what that brown thing is. But she approved that, and that's what when they picked it up. Of course, I had them to stand by it, and I took the picture. And so I could release it to them. Otherwise, I wouldn't release the picture to them. I wouldn't release the tile. I had to know that. So how does that sound? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, real quick, I just found a picture that I didn't. Okay, remember this? One of the first tiles, murals I showed you that I made a lot of money on. Okay, now here it is as I'm painting it. Couldn't find that picture a minute ago. You see how I'm painting section by section. See, I'd paint so much, do so much of it, then move the mirror over. I had big tables in my shop, big 8-foot tables, and had pretty sheets on them, so that everything was nice and clean, and I could move the mirror across and paint, and then it could be fine to leave it, I put something over it. We had a little plastic thing we put over it so that, and then I come back the next day or, and work on some more. But that's how this turned into that. And of course, the picture could change at any time depending on what people wanted. Okay, so all right, let me stop here and see how my camera is, and I'll come back and we'll do a little bit more. All right, so I kind of charged up my camera again so that I can continue on. I hope you're enjoying this. I hope you're just sitting back and just hope you're finding this interesting. And like I said, once I started doing this, I just thought I was going to do this forever. I thought, this is it. But let's get to the end, and then you'll see what happened. All right, so for instance, let me go back a little bit. I was telling you about how the tile was priced and everything, and like that was like a base number. Now, more money came in is all these extra things. Most people didn't want that little 4-piece tile with no extra around it. Most of them, they would come in and see. These are murals that I had in the shop, up on the wall that they can also look at. They could look at and say, oh, I like that apple, that little basket, the little 4-piece basket. Oh, I like that. I had a lot of this mural. Remember the one I said I made a lot of money? Well, that was in the kitchen of my shop. I had this on the wall, installed in the tile on the wall. And so I had samples all around the shop too. And so this is like the base. But then anything outside of that, when, like I said, you want this on there, okay, and then you want something over here, and then you want a cat over here. I'll show you some of the others. You want some, okay, all that's extra, people. You didn't get that for the $25 or each one, or $35. No, that was just a base and then I had a price sheet, price list, and they can just tell me what they wanted. And like I said, once people got in there, they just like anything, you're like, oh my gosh, can I get that? So now here's one right here. Can you see this one? This was one that I had. This was a commission from a lady. She just, oh my gosh. She brought in some wallpaper, and then, she saw the plain little basket, with the little fruit. She said, well, no, I want something a little bigger. And then, okay, that's all right. Then she said, well, on the wallpaper, there was some of this kind of stuff. And she said, well, can I get this? And so all that added on to the base. Okay, we got that. Those tiles cost more to do all the base. So then, so this is the finished piece that I did for her. Now I'll show you, she sent me a picture once it was in her house. See, and this is when people, my kitchen is older, so it's not large like some of these kitchens, and I didn't have a double oven and all that. But you could see she had a beautiful veneer brick front for her cooktop. There's a cooktop, and there's the mural in the place right over her cooktop. So you can see, so it has to be big enough to be seen, if it's just real small. But that's how it looked. So I had to go back and tell you that, just in case you think, man, Jay, that's a lot of work. Oh no, that was like the base price of each tile. Then anything extra, or I had to draw on, or special lettering, like, when I had to put the scriptures on and things like that, or all this extra around here that borders the tile. I tried to make, that means I went outside of the realm, and that was a whole lot more. So do you understand? And like I said, it's just up to the person. That way everybody got to spend what they wanted to spend. If you didn't have much to spend, you were happy with what you got, what you picked. All right, now let me show you this one. Here is a really pretty mural that I did for a couple, and they were into death blue. It's a really pretty blue, and they wanted kind of an oriental, I don't know, or just a really pretty, they love wine and cheese. This was for their the house that they were redecorating. So they commissioned me to do this big bowl of, and they wanted just that these are they picked out the colors. Now they gave me a sample of the wallpaper, and it had this beautiful oriental death blue bowl with the little oriental type houses in the little, it was just real cute. But she picked this out, and she definitely just wanted the blue. I give people suggestions, or I'll tell them different things, but it's their mural. They've got to look at it. And then she picked the other fruit inside, and she came back and told me what she wanted. Then she came back and wanted a second mural to go with it that was going to be on another part of the kitchen. The kitchen was big enough to have, a main mural here, and then it had another section of the kitchen that she could put a wine bottle with the grapes and a slice of cheese. People like designing. And so, but the funny thing about this mural, not funny, but after they were redecorating or something, and then she called me, and then a few years later or something, I can't remember how much time it passed, they decided to buy a bigger house, and they wanted the same mural painted in the new house. Because they didn't want to break out the mural out of the old house because it could wind up getting damaged or anything. You know, some people are able to take them out and not damage the tile, but, you know, to sell the old house, they just left the mural in there and let whoever wanted to buy it, hopefully they liked it. But they commissioned me to do a second one. All those blue grapes, I was so tired of blue grapes when I got through. I'm thinking, man, wow. So let's see. So now, all right, let me just show you. I'm trying to move. All right, so then, let me show you some others where they like theme. Okay, now I remember this little couple. They were a little Italian couple. Never will forget it. She found me some kind of way, and she let's see, am I getting a glare? Okay, she found me somewhere. Found my names. I don't know. Well, maybe she got it from Home Depot. I can't remember if she got it from Home Depot or Lowe's. Anyway, so this couple, she said, well, can you do like a spaghetti type or Italian type, vignette? All right, so I said, so she brought me I think she brought me some wallpaper or something. But anyway, so I put a bottle of, I don't know, some wine, some olive oil, some pasta in a jar, a big hunk of cheese, a pot of flowers. See now, some of this extra stuff. There's some butterflies. There's some garlic hanging up on like it's hanging up on a little attachment there. There's some Italian bread. There's the pasta. Now let's see if I can bring this one closer, because it really turned out to be It really turned out to be a pretty mural. So the picture itself has the glare. It's not so much my glare when she took the picture. But you can see, it has its own little theme. Okay, now put it back. And that was fun to do. That helped stretch me, like, okay, well, all right, because that was something I just had to kind of make up out of, my head, whatever she shared with me, and then I had to try to make up what I could. All right, so then a strange thing happened. People started, after that, then I noticed people started doing more things where they wanted maybe something worth, maybe where they were from, or something that reminded them of their grandmother. So this lady she came in and she said, I want to see if you could do me a Tuscan scene. Something, she says, her family was from Italy or wherever. They were Italian. And she wanted a Tuscany scene with a vineyard and grapes and the little villa and the beautiful mountains in the back. Can you see that? Okay, let's see if I can bring this one closer. Can you see the Tuscan? There's a house, there's the grapevine. On the hill, there's the rolling hills, the gardens. Now this was on stone. So I had to teach myself a whole new bag of tricks. That stone, people, this is when the houses were getting bigger, more expensive. This is when the housing market was booming. This is before the big fall. Before the, but as you can see, her around here is just plain, is more the stone tile type style, not really the, the glossy type style. So I had to teach her. I said, okay, let me see what I could do. So I came up with the design, let her see it, and, she put her input, and then I did this, and she said I wanted to look rough and old, so the stone, I did not have to use or fire because it's not it doesn't have a glaze. It's not like the ceramics tile. So all I had to do was just use plain acrylic paint. Ha. Remember, I was a toll painter. I was a decorative painter. So that was like old school to me. It was like, oh man, I can do that with my eyes, with my eyes closed. So all I had to do was just draw up a scene and then paint it in acrylics and use my regular acrylic paints that I normally would use when I was painting on my wood and other things, my wood and my tin or whatever. So I painted that, and then she sent me a picture how it looked in her house. It looked like she was looking out a window. That's what she wanted. She said, I want to look like I'm looking out of a window, like at a villa. See, there's a cooktop. There's the tile mural with the Italian scene on it. And she sent me a couple pictures. Here's another one. See if I can put that one up. You can see her island here. There's her cabinets. There's a cooktop. She has this shelf across the top of her cooktop. So that was a whole nother ball game for me. I was like, oh my gosh. Okay, so now I had to learn that and reprice that. And of course I made real good on that too, because that was new and different, and even though I didn't have to fire it. So then stone, I started really trying to work on stone pieces. Let me show you a few stone pieces where I just used regular acrylic paint, but then you had to put a really good sealer over it, and you had to let them know how to take care of it. It's, because it's not fired in, it's just painted on, but it has several coats of a good sealer. I can't remember, there was a special sealer we ordered, I can't remember, but this was just this lady just wanted some wine, some grapes, and some cheese on this mural. You see it? Bottle of wine, and it was just laying. So I had to draw this up. I don't know if she brought me a wallpaper or showed her something in a book. Remember I had a lot of wallpaper books, so I just found something and just, I'd take a bit of this wallpaper, some of this, and then I'd put it together and make her a drawing or render her an idea of what I'm thinking that she's trying to do. So that's one. Now here's one. This is on stone. Now this is not the ceramic tile. This is not the tile. Now I'm doing something a little different. So now I'm painting on stone. And as you can see, there's grapes and all kind of peaches, and there's pottery. Look at there. There's all kind of, look. That's painted. All this is hand painted. It is not a decal. But since I used, I had, by then I had established my own code of colors. I had a system on cards where I knew the colors that went with the peach. I knew the colors that went with the apple. I knew the colors to go with, leaves or something. So see, I had it down by then. If you do something a while, you learn how to work smarter. You learn how to, okay, that worked out good. Write that down. Okay, the next time you want to do that pear or something, these are the color combinations that you use. Just like anything in life, just like anything. Just like knitting. You use the same, you write down a pretty little stitch. Like, okay, I'll use that again the next time I do a shawl. This is where you can see me working on it. See, I just had it drawn in here, and then I started working. I work usually from the back forward. Just like that. And now here's the completed mural. And you can see, Oh, I got so good. I even, when I had spare time, I took little tiles and I made a swatch of every color that I had. And I had a lot of colors. You know, after a while, I was just buying paint all the time. And also, you could get low lead paint too, but they didn't fire as pretty. The regular lead paint, because you use a higher temperature, it would fire and the colors would really look beautiful and pop for the ones you're firing. Now, these are on stone, so they weren't stone type tiles. So these were not fired, but for the ones that were fired, you know, you could get low lead paint also. This is just plain acrylic that I was using, that I had in my shop, left over from my decorative painting, my toe painting days. I had a ton of paint left, you know, just in my shop. So this is the complete mural for this. And of course I made good money. even though I didn't have to fire the stone. But by then, you see how it just improved, so I could just charge more. Now look at that. There was one, somebody came in and she wanted this. Wanted something that looks like this. I don't know where the finished pictures is. I got it somewhere, I just couldn't find it. But there was a bottle of wine or something in a little basket. There was like an orange, there was some cheese, grapes, there was flowers, there was some type of bread platter so that you could put your cheese on. Those are just my stuff that I was working with. Can you see that? Then I had, then I had people. Then it started getting so that people wanted me to do scenes, country scenes. Maybe it reminded them of their, I don't know, of their grandfather's farm. I don't know. Oh, look, people, I was painting so fast. I was painting so much. I can't tell you. But this is just to show you the tile. And this is like the faux stone tile that it came from Home Depot. You know, they would bring me the tile. They would buy the tile now. I didn't have to buy the tile. They would just bring me the whole box of tile, and then whatever tile that was left, you know, of course they could take the tile back because they had to have the mural installed. We did not install the murals. They had to have someone, you know, either their husband installed it or they got someone from Home Depot or Lowe's to come install the tile wherever they bought it, whatever. Okay, and then this is, I think, this is one of the prettiest ones that I did in stone. All right, I'm going to show it to you as I was working on it first. This was like a pretty matte, kind of a faux stone tile. But I did not have to fire it. I was able to paint onto it with acrylics. Now this is how it looked. And it was very, this is in the process now. You can see I had started to paint things. And then I had things to fill in. I start from the back, working towards the front or underneath. So I would have done the basket first, then gone to the back. And then here's the things that are forward or in front. You see some grapes here, probably grapes there. There's a pear. And these are on just some beautiful tile, just beautiful. They almost look like floor tiles, but hey, I just paint on whatever they brought. And now let me show you the finished mural and show you all the extra that went along. Okay, this was a whole new price list. Alright, so now here is the finished mural. There's the bottom of the cabinets. See the cabinets right there? Okay, and then here is the countertop right here. Then here's the mural. And they wanted all this extra on the mural. Now maybe I can bring this one close. Let's see, can I bring it? They wanted all of this extra leaves, things up in the corner. There's some more that you can't see. It goes all the way across. Some of you can't see that it's not in the picture there. Can you see that? Now, I don't know if that's her glare on the camera, on the picture she took. So I'll hold it right there so you can see it. So that's the finished picture of where I started on here. I just finished it up, and then she decided, she wanted more stuff here, so I had to freehand that. I just freehand something and did it kind of in a, just an outline and a little color, a little green, a little greenery. Alright, so now let me show you. Let's see. All right, now let me show you a little floral. Just some of the floral. All right, now first of all, let me show you this. All right, this was one of the ladies at work, a good friend of mine at work, when I was at the doctor's office. She was leaving. Her and her husband had decided to, as their retirement, they were buying property up, or they had family property or something up in Kentucky. And she loved horses, and so they were going to be able to have their own horses and a place to ride and keep their horse, and maybe even board horses, I don't know. So I did her this mural for her departing gift of a horse and a beautiful lay of flowers, and then a barn, and then a little fence and some mountains. This was totally surprised. She didn't ask for this. This was her going away, and I just knew how much she loved horses. And her and her husband had finally decided to both, I think he was already retired, and she decided to hang it up too and go ahead and live out what time they had together and do what they always wanted to do, and that was to have horses and a place to ride or board horse, whatever they did, but they loved horses. So this is just the same picture, but just in a different angle. So I just did that as a surprise to her when we, they gave her a party and everything. Okay, and then here's a pretty mural that someone had ordered, but I can't remember much about it. But I do remember this bowl, and I remember the flowers, but I can't remember the background of this picture or what the lady was thinking. But I knew it turned out to be a really pretty mural. Then here's one of my favorite. This is one of the prettiest. Oh, real quick before I do that one. Here is, let's see if I can find the picture to go with it. Usually there's always a picture to go with it. Alright, this is a bottle of wine with some cheese. Oh, I wanted you to see. Well, I am missing. I'll find it and I'll come back. Okay, but anyway, here's a pretty mural. And there's a picture. I'll find it and come back. So I'll come back to this one. Let me go on to another one real quick, because I want you to see the kitchen that was in. So here's one. Here's a nice floral. Oh, I used to get a lot of requests for floral wreaths. So here's a floral wreath in the shape of a heart. And she wanted scripture right in the center of this pretty roses and all these pretty flowers. And it says, "As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." And then I put the scripture on there. You know where you can find it. Isn't that pretty? So I did get a lot of people wanting certain type things like this, where I'd make a kind of a heart wreath and they could hang it up. So now this is the picture she sent me. I hope you can tell. She had a beautiful new house. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. This was her in her new kitchen. Oh, it's got a bad shadow, but I'm going to bring it close because I want you to see this. I'm trying to turn it. It's kind of hard to see, but there's the cabinet. And she took it and it was in a shadow. It was, oh man. But it was hanging after they had installed it. She brought me a picture. So I'm sorry that picture, that was the best picture she sent me. But this is the wreath. This is before she picked it up. And it was so pretty. And that's it installed in her kitchen. There's a little cabinet here. Like I say, it's in a shadow. I wish I could have got it so that you could. I wish you had sent me a better picture or more. But I'm bringing it close as I can so that maybe you could kind of get an idea. She had some type of setback hood above her cooktop. There was a big space there, so that's where the mural went. Then I had one where the lady was building a new house. Oh, it was a beautiful house on the lake. And all she wanted was, she said, well, I got this idea. I want to have hummingbirds, and I want them to be flying in the sky. And I just want them to be at the top. So she wanted these hummingbirds and just nothing but flowers and hummingbirds and like a little blue so that it looks like they were like your, and this was up at the top of the cabinets. You know how you have cabinets and you have some space in between the cabinets and the ceiling. This is where this mural went. It didn't go into the traditional place. So this is how I started it. I started it with a few flowers. You know, I drew it out first, and then when I started painting, then I put in hummingbirds. So that's one picture, how I started it. And then here's another picture as I went on further. And it was a long mural. Oh my gosh, she just spent the money. It was a long, I can't tell you how many tiles across it was, because it filled up that whole, like I said, it was the space above your cabinets, and it comes right up to the ceiling, and it went all the way across the wall. I didn't think I was ever going to get done with this mural. But that's what she wanted. She said, I want to look up, and I want to see something like the sky, and I want to see hummingbirds. So this is as I am painting this mural for this house on this. It had a big lake. Now I'll show you how it looked once I started getting close to finishing the mural. Show you how long. Okay, now here's like the center. I even had to mark it so that the people who were going to install it for made sure they got like where the center. This was, so I put a little piece of, you know, I marked it. I was putting some masking tape. So when I told her to lay it out. You know, either I would go to her house and lay it out, or she could lay it out for them on the counter. And my tiles are always numbered. You always number the tiles, so if people got confused, because when you pick it up, you know, they've been bubble wrapped and stacked in a box. So on the back of each tile was numbered. So you'd start and number them. So when you turn it over, you'd have the numbers in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know. So that the people who laid the tile would get the tile in the right order. So yes, they were numbered. And I also marked where the center. So this was the center. And this went all the way across that direction. And then went all the way across this direction. So now here's one end. Because it was so long I couldn't get it all. She couldn't get all. So after you pass center. Oops, sorry. Had it upside down. After you pass center. Center is way over here somewhere. This thing just continued to go across that to fill in that area above her cabinets that ran right up to her ceiling. And it went all the way, just pretty blue, a little blue behind the flowers. Pretty, just really pretty flowers and hummingbirds. I'll put that back right there so you can see it. And it just went on and on and on. Okay, so here's one last one for right now, and then I'll stop and check my camera again, and then we'll get ready. I'll see how I can end this. So now here's one more that was real pretty. It was like a beautiful tree stump or part of a tree with beautiful morning glories, but she wanted pink and blue. And a hummingbird. See, a lot of this stuff is extra. See? So just by itself, but every time I had to go into any tile, all that's extra. But she loved it. Alright, so let me stop here, and then I will come back and we'll just wrap this up. I hope you have enjoyed this. I've enjoyed reminiscing. I cannot believe, sometimes I think, how did I do all this? I don't know. I was in the zone, that's all I know. Alright, let me see if there's anything else I want to share with you, and then I'll be right back. Okay, real quick before I get to the very end, remember this wine and cheese? I said, oh, I wanted you to see this kitchen that this couple came. They found me at Lowe's. I believe they got my name from Lowe's anyway. So it was way across town in a beautiful high-end. So they were building this new house, and they're kind of minimalist, industrial type. So they ordered this mural, and I had no idea, what the house looked like or anything. But I did the painting of it, and that's why I wanted you to see this real quick. So now there's the mural. Once I, worked up I rendered a drawing, and they liked it, and they gave their input. So then I painted it. Then they sent me a picture of it installed. There it is in the kitchen, and they had pretty white tile with some black accents. There we go, right there. Okay, but now let me show you the kitchen. When they sent me the kitchen, I thought, oh my word. Alright, here is the kitchen that the mural went into. Now I'm going to leave it there just for a second, just to see if it will do it justice. If not now, I'll try to bring it closer so that and just run it across. It's one of those high-end kitchens. Oh my goodness. It looks industrial, doesn't it? In fact, they wanted me they were having a big reveal or big housewarming or something. And they wanted me to come as a featured artist, but no. No. I just kindly bowed out and just said I was not able to. But they were very nice. They were very, just a real, I don't know, new wave type couple. But anyway, so they had just built this new house, and they saw some of my work at Lowe's, and had me to do that mural, which is this mural. Just plain and simple. They didn't really get a whole lot. They just, like I said, they just very simple. But when you see it in the whole scheme of the kitchen, it's very nice and very clean lines and very simple. Just a touch of everything very pretty. Alright, so now I can finish, and I'll be right back, and I'll show you just one last little thing from my kitchen. Back in just a minute. Okay, count it down. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so I said I'd just bring you a couple of things that I still use in my house today. From my craft show days, from my tile days, from my painting days. And one of the things you saw in the picture, in the intro, when we did some shows, we used to make these clocks. These are ceramic clocks. This is a piece of ceramic tile, and you buy this little, you can buy these little clock things at Walmart's, Michael's, any place. And then I did find a place wholesale that I can buy them. And we had to buy a special, my husband had to get a special drill bit to drill into the tile to put the hole in the center. And you get the hand, you know, all this comes like in a little kit. But it just wasn't profitable because you'd split more tiles. Even with the special drill bit, it would break a lot of the tiles. So we had a few, we sold a few, and what I didn't sell, I just simply brought home. And like I said, I use them in my house. It's a real working clock that I really, it's real pretty. I have it sitting up on my shelf with my depression glass dishes. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so now I want to show you, because as I said, you know, I'm coming full circle, and that is going to be the name of this video, Jay's Circle of Life. And so these are just the things that helped, or that, you know, was part of my circle. So let me show you a couple of other things. I'm going to sit this just kind of over to the side. All right, now here are, maybe I'll grab this little stand to hold one. Okay, here are just some simple little porcelain plates. And these are, now let me back my camera back. Bring it down, hold on. Alright, these are just plain little porcelain plates that you could, you know, when you buy them from the distributor, they're called blanks. You just want to buy some porcelain blanks. They're just white porcelain. They're real porcelain, not ceramic. And these you could just, sometimes you can just pick them up at the Goodwill or thrift store. See, these are real fine china porcelain saucers. And this is what you would paint on, you know, or what some of you might remember. Some of you may be a relative or an aunt or somebody that would sit and just paint, or maybe they had a church group, you know, that painted china. And this is some that I really keep out, and every once in a while I use when my knitting group would come over and I wanted to, you know, put something really cute. Maybe I'd put the little sugar packets, you know, the pink or the blue on these, or I just, you know, you just use them just for fun. And you can see how simple and how pretty, and yes, you can make it inexpensive by just shopping at the Goodwill or thrift store. I was always on the look back in the day, you know, not now, for anything that I could tell was porcelain, or look to the back to see if it had an actual stamp or a mark that told you it was fine china. And that's it. Okay, now I can't close my circle or tell you about my circle of life unless I include people. So I'm going to include some people, and then I will be right back and give you a little background on it. Back in just a minute. Alright. There's no way you could have a circle and complete your life without good and sweet and just faithful friends. And so I want to share a couple of just some nice things I want to say about a couple of my friends that I had known for just over 20-some years. Here's my friend Karen, and this is Miss Ann. She was like a mentor to us. She was an English knitter, yes, with the needles under her arms and everything. And she would just sit when we start doing our little knit group. She would just tell us all kind of stories. And so I'll come back to that. But what happened, they were two of the first people who found me when I was doing decorative painting. They started painting with me way back in the 80s. And they followed me from shop to wherever I moved, or whatever shop I got, they just came. It was automatically. And so I had known them a long time. And then once we stopped painting, you know, when the decorative painting or toll painting went out, they were the only two left that stayed to want to know how to do the tile painting. They just wanted to know how to do tile, and they really enjoyed it. We had a great time. I think I have one picture. I may have Karen's kitchen. I'll see in just a minute. But we just decided, okay, we'll do that. So they stayed with me while I went through the learning how to paint the tile, and then I would share with them. They went through me with vertigo. They would just come sometimes, and even if I was too sick to paint, we would just sit and they would just love on me and pray for me, and we just sit and talk and share about our families. We just had a lot in common. Then one day, this is on after we had just about run out of wanting to do any more tile painting, because since I had the vertigo, and Karen also had a little touch of vertigo, but years before when she used to cross stitch. My friend Karen used to be a big cross stitcher, and so she had gone through a vertigo stage, and sometimes hers would come back every once in a while too. So we both thought, well, since we were stopped painting tile, what else could we do? Because the friendship was very strong. It was only down to the three of us. And this, I'm talking about after my shop stayed, there was always 75, maybe 80 people all week coming in and out, different classes. I had classes all the time. I finally had to get some of the people who actually took classes from me to start teaching for me, because I just had so many people that wanted to come in. But these particular two, there was others now, but these are the ones I have the pictures, and that we went into the knitting. So these two ladies, Karen and Miss Ann, were there they were there at the beginning, and they were at the end, just like a circle of friends. And so one day we were sitting and we were talking, what are we going to do, and what can we do? And Miss Ann said something about her family had taken her grandchildren had taken her to a yarn shop, I guess for her birthday or something, or maybe for Mother's Day or something. Anyway, she was telling us about, because her being an English knitter, when she came to America, she married an American soldier, and she moved to America, left her family and everything. She just found that people were just interested in the kind of things she knit. The English baby layettes. The little bonnet, the little beautiful sweater, the little booties, and then the prim cover. She would just tell us all about it, and it was getting to the point, when she first, shared with people in her church and things. Oh, that's beautiful. But now, moving fast forward, people just don't do that here in America. We just don't put our babies in bonnets. We don't hardly buy booties, and they want name brand stuff. They're just not into that. So, she was feeling kind of down, and Karen said, well, Miss Ann, I didn't know you knit. I want to learn how to knit. Karen, we were sitting at the shop talking, just the three of us. It was always the three of us. At the end, it was just the three of us. Day after, whenever we'd meet, I think we met every Tuesday morning or something. Anyway, they would keep me going. And they would even keep paying the little dues, the little class fee. They would just say, no, we want to keep coming, so we know you have to pay your lights and your water. They just kept coming. That was their time, and they wanted to keep it. And so Karen said, well, Miss Ann, can you teach me I want to know how to knit. And I said, well, Miss Ann, you know what? I know how to knit. And she just looked at me real funny. She was like, you do? I said, yeah. I know how to knit. I've been knitting since I was about 16. Well, I'm sure she probably thought, yeah, right. And I said, I can bring you something. I said, I even know how to read patterns. She said, you know how to read knitting patterns? I said, yeah, I know how to read knitting patterns. So we made an agreement. The next week, she told us some things to bring, told Karen what to, maybe some things to bring, or we'd bring some and she could use some of our stuff. Because I said, yeah, I have yarn and everything. And I just wanted to get this story in. So the next week we came and we brought, and you remember those dishcloths I had out of the big picnic basket called Lost and Found? Remember I told you those dishcloths were old? Well, I brought some. Those are some of the dishcloths I brought to show Miss Ann that I could knit. And boy, was she shocked. I tried to take the real nice ones, the fancy ones, so she could see that I could really knit. Because I'm sure she probably thought, oh, you can. It had never come up, people. We had spent over 20-some years painting, toe painting, decorative painting, and then the tile. This is, we're getting ready to stop all of that because I had the vertigo. The tile, doing all that painting and looking the depth. I just lost depth perception, and I had to give it up. I just knew I was going to have to give the tile up. So we decided, okay, well, we'll start a little group. And we met at the shop, and then to make it easier on each other, we didn't really have to meet at the shop, and wasn't no sense in going down there burning lights and water, and, just for the three of us. So we decided to just meet at each other's house on that day. So, like one week it would be at Karen's house, and next week at Miss Ann's. Then I wasn't in the mix yet because I had the shop and my house. I didn't have my studio all fixed up yet. And I told him, I'm going to have to fix up my little studio. Well, cut a long story short, while we were starting to meet and just loving our little new knit group, a whole new life. Now, this is another circle. We did the toe circle. We did the tile circle. And these two ladies were in it with me when we started the knitting circle. Circle of life. You can't have a circle until you complete it, and you got to have people. And so then we, I lost my train of thought. Okay. So let's see. Well, we were meeting at each other at the houses, and then, oh gosh, I can't remember what I was going to say. Senior moment. But anyway, this picture, let me tell you about how this picture came out. Okay, so the person, every once in a while, maybe once a month, one person would drive, had to pick a place to take the other two out. So we could have a meal, have some coffee. We really weren't tea drinkers, but all three of us loved coffee, and then it had to be near a yarn shop. Try to find somewhere that we can buy yarn. All right, so on this particular trip, the three of us together, was my turn. And I found a little yarn shop way a few miles, I don't know, about 2 or 3 counties over. Someone had told me about it, or I heard about it some kind of way. But anyway, I found it and called it, got directions because I'd never been. And so this was our day out. We went to the yarn shop first, and we always blessed the people at the yarn shop. We had money. All of us had money, and we loved to spend the money too on our little outings and things. So we would go and we'd make sure we blessed the yarn shop and buy a lot of different stuff and buy books and yarn, and we just enjoyed it. And then there happened to be we asked me, well, is there anywhere to have a little sandwich or salad? I said, we're out just this is our day out to just be together, and we'd like to always have a little meal. And they told us about a house just down the street or something. So we went to this cute little house. Oh, it's so cute. It looked like a little English house. So we went in, and we asked them if we wanted to, get a table. And we asked to kind of be put off because we wanted to laugh and talk and look at our, once you go to the yarn shop, then you go sit down and want to eat lunch. You want to you don't want to go see what you got. Go through your bags. And so she put us over in this corner so we could be all to ourselves. And look at that. Is that not the prettiest picture? This is one of my favorite. Now I got to get in Jay has to get in focus here. This was one of the prettiest pictures I had ever taken with my friends. Look, they even brought a teapot out. Miss Ann, so she wanted tea. I think she had tea that day, but we were all coffee drinkers. We didn't tell them. We just went ahead and drank the tea because it was like a little tea place, and they had the sandwiches, like little cut sandwiches, and they had, your salad and all of that. And look at that. And they had pretty little floral dishes or things. I think that's what they had. And you can see the curtains were all pretty and floral. They had some pretty painting on the wall that was really pretty. Oh, it was just a perfect day. And I believe this day happened to be Miss Ann's birthday. I believe that's why we went while we were doing this particular trip. So there's my friend Karen, who I call Cupcake. There's Cupcake. There's Miss Ann, our mentor, and look who that is. There's Jay with her circle of friends. People who help, who kept me going, who encouraged me, who I could always count on, who was just a blessing in my life. And we knew each other for years. It wasn't like a passing thing. We knew each other all those years. And So I wanted to share with you in this video. I am making this as I'm trying to memorialize my life on this video, so that my family will have something, family that I won't ever get to meet on down the road will know who Jay was, what did she like, who did she know, where did she go, and they are part of my circle of life, and I wanted to make sure I could not do it if I did not add them to my circle of life. Isn't that wonderful? Now, of course, since way before COVID, several of us had health problems, and Miss Ann, was our senior member, and she had health, and so we just had to stop after a while. We just couldn't keep the knit group, and then of course COVID came, and so we just couldn't, keep it going. But at least I have them in my heart, and I know they have me in their heart, and so now I just wanted to share it. So that's part of my circle. Now let me show you the last thing that I want to show you, why I'm calling it the circle of life. Jay's circle of life. Back in just a moment. Now, for the last piece that I want to share with you in this video, as I bring my circle of life to where I'm going to end the towel. And then, of course, once I left the towel, knitting was on the horizon. So I want to show you this pretty mural. This is a mural that I would do for, like, if someone I knew was getting married or something, I'd do them this beautiful, this is a really heavy-duty tile mural. This is a heavy tile. It's really like a floor tile. It's so heavy. This is the back. I'd paint the back a pretty solid color, and then I'd put those, those big old glass beads or things you can get. You can get a lot of them at the Dollar Tree, but you can always get these large ones at Joann's or Michael's, somewhere like that, Hobby Lobby. All right, so that went on the back to protect, so they'd have a little foot to them. But this mural, it came about. I just, like I said, I was looking to make something for a wedding, and it just came to me, if I did, instead of just doing one little piece of fruit, what if I did a whole circle of fruit? And then over the years, this started to represent more to me than just a gift. This particular one broke, so naturally I couldn't give it as a gift or sell it. So I just brought it home, and I use it in my house where my lamp sits in my kitchen. I have a big old counter, and my lamp sits right here in the center. It's a big lamp, and this is what just decorates my counter. But over the years, I have just recognized how beautiful a circle of life, and it just made me grateful. When I look at it, I am just grateful. I can see ups and downs. I can see disappointments. I can see people that have come in and out of my life. I can see problems that I made it through that I didn't think I was going to make it through. Most of all, I can see God's favor on me over all these years. I always put me in the right place at the right time with the right people. He'd give me just a little knowledge to meet the right people, and then I'd grow from there. And it just became a circle of not only life, but a circle of blessings. And that's why I just decided not to, after this one broke, I just said, I'm keeping this. This is going to be my reminder. This will keep me grateful, always being grateful to wherever I am, whatever's going on. That doesn't mean I'm happy, people, or that doesn't mean I'm just singing and a tapping. No, that means that I know that this too shall pass. And that this circle of life, which this beautiful tile of fruit represents, all this is hand painted from someone who never got a lesson I taught myself. God just opened up a door through my little friend, and then it just kind of went on from there and there, and I loved it. So I thought it was the prettiest thing I'd ever seen, painting this and bringing it to life. And I taught myself. And then, of course, I couldn't do it now because the grace is not on me to do it. You have to have grace to do stuff. You know, when it lifts, it's gone. That doesn't mean I couldn't paint maybe an apple or something real simple or a couple of leaves or a little, but to just do what I was doing in the volume that I was doing it. And of course, since I don't know how much I touched on about the vertigo a minute ago, I try not to touch on it too much, but you know, I did get vertigo, and so I just gave up painting a tile. It was just too much, and believe me, you don't ever want that. So this is my circle of life video. This is my life that I wanted to put on video for family that I will never ever know, or just anyone who comes across me on YouTube. Okay, so maybe right now, maybe it's, nobody, somebody maybe hadn't seen me or something. But as God says, on down the road or later on, somebody may come across me that wanted to know who was this person. Who was this? How did she get so much done? 74 years seems like a long time looking back, but it's not really that long. And, some people don't make it near this far. And to have so much to now share with all of you. And do you know what? You are in my circle of life. And that's where I just want to stop and just thank you again for being my friend, for being my fan, being in my fellowship, being a supporter, not just of Jay's Knit and Purl Jam, but of me. And I just thank you so much. And I am happy to include you in my circle of life. That I knew you when I was here, and you knew me. You knew me by looking at me, but you also knew me by the Spirit. And I am so grateful. So this is Jay. This is Jay's Knit and Purl Jam saying, I want you to think of your circle of life and how you need to make sure to protect it and make sure that you have it to share with people that love and care for you. So I will be seeing you soon. So please take care. Bye-bye.